So in the previous video we covered the control flow with the if and else annotations. All right, so you saw that we had a template with the if and the else, and inside the body of the if and the else we have two different use cases, whether the server is running or not, that depend on a condition based on a property called isServerRunning, which is a boolean type inferred from the value that we're giving it here. And when we put the value to true, we are in the true use case, so the if is valid, and yes, the server is running is being displayed. All right, whereas where it is put to false, we are in the else use case and we are displaying no, the server is not running. So this allows you in the template to have logic depending on some use case to display one thing or something else. All right, now the next use case that we're going to cover is the for loop to loop over the arrays. Okay, so here we are. So we have a simple component completely empty, template is empty, class file is empty as well. Okay, and here they are giving us some examples where we are playing with the for loop. So we have a class called app component again with the operating system, a property called operating system, which is an array of multiple objects, and these objects have two properties, an ID and a name. So the ID of the operating system, Win or OS X or Linux, and the name Windows, Mac OS, Linux. All right, and in the template we are using the for annotation to loop through this array, okay, and we display the name of each operating system. So the syntax is as you can see here. We have the for loop, and then we have parentheses. All right, and we create a variable from the operating systems. So every time we are going to iterate, the variable will get the next value of the array, meaning this object. Okay, so that's the name of the variable that will get the value every time we iterate. And you need to add track something that is unique in the array. So here they are using the ID for the track. Okay, so they're giving you here a bunch of documentation on how to use it, and telling you that for versions that are like version 16, or because this syntax came from version 17, so from version 16 and below, you need to use what we call a directive, so structural directive called ng4 instead of the @for syntax. All right, which can still be used, by the way, in up-to-date versions such as the one we are doing the training for, or the tutorial on, the version 18. Okay, so let's start with the tutorial. So like the operating systems, but here we are playing with users. They are asking us to create a property called users that contains some users and their name, and you see that there is an ID. Okay, there needs to be something unique for the user. In this case, it's the ID. Okay, so let's do that. Users equal, let's copy the array, let's try to make it display in a better way. All right, now we have our property users. As you can see, it's an array of objects. Each object has an ID and a name. Okay, so you see it was even able here, since the array is of the same objects, it was able to infer that this is sorry, this is an array. That's what you can see here. The opening and closing square brackets. It means that users is an array of objects that have two properties, an ID with the name that is a number and the name that is a string, because it was able to infer it from here, since we don't have the double quotes over the numbers and these are numbers. It was able to infer that ID is a number, and since all of these are starting with quotes, single quotes or double quotes, they are inferred as strings. Okay, so it was able to infer the type of the properties, and since all the objects are the same, the user's property was able to, we were able to get a type inference for it. Okay, fine. Now they are asking us in the next step to loop over this array of users. So same as for the operating systems, we use the for annotation. Okay, let's go inside the template. Let's add some space here and paste the things here and format it properly. So we are using the for syntax, opening the parentheses, all right? And we have here our array of users, which is this property, and we are creating a variable that will take the value of one element every time we iterate, okay, in order. And for the track, we use the ID because this is what's supposed to be unique. We could have, for example, another user which has the same name as a user that exists in the same array. Perfect. And inside the body, so every time we're going to loop, we are going to display a paragraph, and here we're getting this variable, and to evaluate it, we need to use the interpolation. Okay, as we have seen in the previous exercises, where we were using the interpolation syntax to not display just the characters user, but to actually get this real object, and then it will be one element of the array, and then we do dot name to display the name of the user. Perfect. So you see that it's working perfectly fine, and we are looping through those users and displaying their name. Okay, we could also add the ID before the name. Okay, and you should see the ID. Yeah, now we're seeing the ID before the name. Okay, so we could also display the full user, since here it's an object, and yeah, since it's an object, it will just tell you that an object is there. There is something called pipe that we're going to cover later, but it's convenient to, when we are working in the template, to debug, to know how it will look like. Yeah, here, because the pipe is not imported, so yeah. JSON pipe should be part of. Angular common. Unfortunately here we don't get any type completion. All right. So we're going to cover the pipes later, etc. But here is just to show you that when you want to have, for example, when you are debugging and you're not able to get the name or something, you want to just have a look in the template what you are getting. I mean, here it's pretty obvious because we can see it here, but sometimes this is dynamically populated and it's not done in the TS, or it's done in the template, or for some reason. So you just want to inline the object. Okay, you could just use the pipe JSON to see how it looks. Fine. So it's good because it will allowed us to have a look at how to look for the pipe. Usually when you will be in your IDE, it would easily help you to import it. But here we had to go and look for it from which package it is from Angular and do that manually, as well as the imports here. All right, so yeah, so it can be pretty convenient. Another thing that you could do is that, for example, if you want to have a look at that array before looping into it even, okay, or this property to make sure it is an array or whatever here, of course, as we said, it's obvious. You could use the same thing. So we'll use the interpolation of Angular, okay, and we can put our array here, and you'll see that most likely it will show an array of objects without showing the content of the object. So yeah, that's what you see here. This is actually coming from this. So here, by the way, let's comment out the we are in the template. So we are in the template. The for loop had since I'm in the class file and using the for loop, so I missed that was in the template. So I was using like the comment syntax that we are using in the TS file. So we have our users here. So for example, before looping, you want to see if you're getting a proper structure of the user before looping over it in your template when you're debugging something. So we can see the users. And if we want to see the value, same thing, we just pipe JSON the array. Okay, and we can see our array here. So we clearly see that it's fine. We are getting a proper array, and then we can loop over it, and then we can get the name, etc. So you can see everything here. All right. So yeah, this is just in addition because these tricks could be useful when you are trying to debug and not able to get what you need. It's very convenient to have that pipe under hand so that you can display that. If of course you don't need the pipe for your development, don't forget to remove it later from your imports. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much it. So we have done that, so we can reveal the answer to put back the previous state. Let's format this. So yeah, that's pretty much it regarding the for loop. So we did a bit more than what is expected here in the training, but because I feel it's necessary so that it can ease you the access to the values and to the array, etc., by using that JSON pipe. Perfect. So the next step will be about property binding. So this will be part of the next session.